Hi, my name is Mike. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wingfield, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar with the topic Data-Driven Coaching Processes. In this webinar, we're going to focus on the potential that data can give you in your coaching process while tackling problems, technical changement processes, and giving actually solutions on the court for keeping the morale and the motivation up from the player's side while keeping the frustration at a minimum level in a changement process or any work that you do with your player on the court. Before we get to a practical exercise where I'm going to talk about one specific changement process that you would go through with an example player, I'm going to talk a bit give you information about myself and the company Wingfield, and then we're going to jump right into it. So as I said, I'm the co-founder of Wingfield. I played as a professional for most of my prior life. I coached over 200 players from all around the world, and right after my career as a professional ended, I sort of transitioned also to the amateur side of the sport, coaching different players, different ages and different levels. And throughout this whole process of getting from the professional side to the amateur side, I realized that there's certain challenges for coaches that could be tackled not only with data-driven coaching processes and data, providing data on the court actually for your day-to-day work, but also I realized that all of the innovation happening on the court right now on the top level is not really applicable to any amateur clubs or coaches or players thereof. This is why, together with my team at Wingfield, we built the Wingfield box. The Wingfield box sort of works as a smart net post. The only thing court providers have to do is they take their own net post out and install our system instead. With 2 cameras and a processor unit inside, the system literally tracks every single movement, all the 3-dimensional ball trajectories, but also impact points and speed that are occurring on the court. So whatever happens in the 3-dimensional room, the system actually tracks it and provides it in a consumer-facing app or tablet for the players and coaches right after each session ended. Having access to this kind of data actually helps you in 3 key areas of your coaching process. One being that you can actually measure and track progress for the first time. So this really helps you to keep the motivation up, because for the first time, even small steps forward can be trackable and can be celebrated from the player's side. Tennis is a rather technical sport, and compared to running, swimming, or lifting weights, to see small results is rather difficult. With the power of data, this can actually be possible, and even small steps in a changement process or in your general development can be visual for the first time. As a second step, it's about communication. Data and actually access to not only raw data, but also video footage can help you to have a better communication with your players and everybody who's around the player, for instance. To change something can be a difficult and painful process. And the communication about small technical differences can be rather difficult if you do not have access to any type of footage on the court, but also off the court. When you work on the court, it's about feeling, it's about working with the player, but even afterwards, having access to actual video footage with zoom-in options and slow motion playback, this can actually help you to really focus on the right things and really explain what you want to do. And the third part as a key area is actually holding players accountable and really showing them what they did on the court. I mean, every player or every coach knows that whenever you're working on something, the player could have a very, very different feeling, different opinion of what you're seeing on the court, because their own feeling might be completely different than what you as a professional actually see. This is where data can help you to really focus on the points and hold someone accountable and really explain that you're far from there what you want to achieve actually. So with these 3 key areas, with holding, tracking the progress, improving your communication and holding your players accountable in the long term, This is actually where data can have a major impact on how you work and how you communicate with the players. But let's have a look at a more practical scenario. In this example, you're working together with a 20-year-old female player who competes on a, let's say, regional level. Imagine that this player has one or multiple elements that you want to tackle because there are technical issues that you see in the short or in the long term would limit her capabilities or her chances of becoming a higher level player. It could rather be a too strong Western grip, very high and long backswing, for instance, or a very tight arm in the forehand, which limits the swing, the looseness of the swing, and therefore also the speed swing. Normally, you would attack one of these issues at a time and just get right away to the exercise. You would look at what you see and then think about, the different exercises that help her to improve the given problems that you want to tackle. In a data-driven coaching process, you actually start one step before by performing a status quo analysis. In this scenario, we're using two different features: the Wingfield drill score and the recording of the match, the automatic video recording. In a drill score, what really happens is you play on a predefined target, 10, 20 or more shots after each other out of the basket or as a partner drill. And after each drill session, you get one drill score for your forehand, let's say. When you play forehand cross-court drill, you get the forehand drill score. This drill score is just one number being calculated by the accuracy and the speed of each individual shot. In our scenario, we do this 5 times out of the basket with 10 balls each and 5 times in a partner drill for 1 minute cross-court forehand. So that we in total have 10 different scores for this one player. And all of these scores in an average, that is our status quo that we are going to start working with. While the drill scores serve as our status quo and the basis for the future work to compare our before analysis, actually, the video serves to start communicating what you actually want to change. Look at the video together with your player and use the typical video analysis tools to really communicate what you want to do. On top of that, it's really important to communicate right in the beginning what kind of timeline you're looking at and what is the clear goal at the end of the timeline. Even more important, also communicate that you don't expect any positive change in the first few weeks of the changement process. Actually do say that you even expect that the scores might go down in the first weeks, in the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, and really tell the player or do a good expectation management to really start and have a good basis for your future work. Then you get right to it. Play your exercises, do whatever drills you want to do with the player, with coordinative exercises or technical exercises, whatever you think is best and whatever works in the past, just go ahead. For the sake of this example over here, let's just assume the player had a strong Western grip and you want to change that. The next big milestone is the first checkup drill. What you do is you basically go for the same status quo analysis that you did right in the beginning. And as said before, in our given scenario with the change of a Western grip, there is a strong potential that the scores might be worse than in before. However, this is not a problem because you communicated before and the frustration is not as high because the player was already expecting that this might happen. Potentially, there are already a few single shots or a few rally or a few sections of a rally that work quite well. So do focus on exactly these type of scenarios and use the video to communicate what already works. This way, even though you have a small bump in your scores and you do have a first negative experience from the scores, you can really focus on something positive for the next step. Depending on the timeline that you agreed upon with your player, you repeat this checkup exercise. Let's say if you work together on a 6 to 8 week project and the player plays 3 times a week, then you go for one checkup session at the end of every week to really see small steps in improvement and to show the improvement in a video capacity. At the end of this whole process, at the end of the project that you work together on, you do the final after analysis. So in the beginning, we did the before picture and the before stats, and now we do the after shots. This is where the same status quo drill again happens, 5 times out of the basket and 5 times cross-court drill for 1 minute. And now you can actually focus on the numbers, at the raw data. This really shows if the decisions and the things that you changed were the right ones, and whether your work together improved or you need to change something else in order to get to where you want to get. At the end of the day, this really helps you to make good to really make good decisions, but also to being able to celebrate with your player together, black on white, that you achieved something that 8 weeks ago was still a problem for the player. So use this chance to really celebrate. At the next session, when you achieved your goal, you looked at the data, you looked at the picture from 8 weeks before, at the next session then, you can then focus on what happened during the process and really talk about things like discipline, work ethic, and all of those topics that can be improved in future processes. You don't really focus on new technical issues right away, but really focus on what happened as a review session. This is being done in all other parts of coaching and in other sports, in business processes, or even in development processes. You set a high goal, you look at the data if you achieved it, and then you do a review process. At the end, one more thing that I want to focus on and I want to just mention before we close off these webinars. One interesting thing that technology can provide in this type of coaching process, for instance, is you could literally do that with an assistant coach, or being 100 kilometers or 1,000 kilometers right away with on-demand or remote coaching processes. Because today, using data, you don't need to be on the court day-to-day with the player anymore, but rather sit in front of your laptop, give instructions, and look at what happened on the court. Especially if you're an academy owner, this could be an interesting tool, using our platform to connect to your coaches, connect to the players, and receive instant information about what they were doing on the court in your coaching dashboard. So thank you very much for listening on today's topic about how to really drive value and how to have a data-driven coaching process and not a really standardized and analog coaching process. I hope you enjoyed what we were talking about, and I hope to hear or see you sometime. Thank you very much.